If you've been feeling some type of way over the last few days, there is a reason for this, and I am going to explain this to you in this video. We have had Venus and Mercury retrograde, both dancing around the sun. And so let me explain what this means. The sun is our consciousness. It is our life force energy. And Mercury is our mental space, the way we communicate, the way we think, the way that we perceive and process information and relay that information to others. And then we also have Venus, which represents our creativity. It represents how we love, how we flirt, how we connect, our friendships, our relationships, our dating lives, our finances as well. There's a lot of energies with Venus. When these two planets are in retrograde separately, there is a lot of tumultuous energy because we are rethinking, reevaluating, reinventing. But when they are both in retrograde together, this is essentially a giant mind fuck, particularly where Mercury represents the mind. The fact that they are in close conjunction range with the sun, Venus was actually exactly conjunct the sun on the 22nd, 23rd. And I did a video on this and the new star point that was created at 2 degrees of Aries. So go ahead and check that out on my page if you are feeling drawn to this information and you want to delve in a bit more deeply. That aspect really impacted particularly our relationships, our relationship to ourselves, to others, to partners, to friends, to our finances, and all of those particular Venusian energies. So that was a big, big energy. And it's bringing forth these themes that we're going to be experiencing for the next 9 years, possibly more, as Venus continues to come back to that point in the sky as she traces her sacred geometry through the heavens. All right, so we had that going on. Mercury also hanging around. So this means that we're thinking about a lot of stuff. We are looking around at our reality. We're looking at our relationships. And there's this real streak of independence with these energies in Aries where we want it. Aries is that energy that essentially says, I want what I want, when I want it, how I want it. And anyone or anything that stands in my way is going to get the horns, right? Aries is the ram. It is the battering ram. We can think about it that way as well when we're looking at this energy. Aries does not care how many times it needs to smash its head into that brick wall. Eventually that wall will give. That is the Aries mentality, right? If you apply enough force, you can accomplish anything. This is Mars energy, right? Aries is that warrior energy. So this is an activation of our divine warrior, our inner warrior. This is preparing us for Neptune entering Aries. And we have a big eclipse coming up on the 29th. And that eclipse is happening the day before Neptune shifts into the sign of Aries for the first time since 1861. It is also occurring at the point, 9 degrees of Aries, where Mercury turned retrograde on the 15th, right after the lunar eclipse that we just had in Virgo, and the degree next to where Venus turned retrograde on the 1st of March, because Venus went retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries. So this is a hot point. This is a big check-in point for these retrograde energies, for these eclipse season energies. We have Neptune in Pisces conjunct the North Node right next door to this Aries energy. As we said, Neptune's going to be moving the day after that eclipse on the 29th. So Neptune is like in this transitional phase. And there's a lot of these energies that are initiating us into a brand new understanding of how to work with that Aries energy, how to work with that Mars energy, our masculine energy, our warrior energy. And we are learning how to take that to a higher octave, but sometimes in that process, we exhibit some of these lower behaviors, so to speak, right? This is how we learn, this is how we grow, this is how we evolve. So we may find ourselves becoming more combative, whether internally or externally. We may find other people exhibiting these patterns as well. We may be noticing where it is that we are not getting what we want, or where it is that we're feeling as though our will is being thwarted, whether this is by spirit, whether this is by people in our own reality, whether this is in our own lives where we're recognizing that we have become our own worst enemy. Wherever it is that we are essentially, it's like we're getting really clear on what we want, but also where it is that we feel as though that energy is being blocked. And like the guidance is to channel all of that energy into where it is that you're getting the green light. All right. And where it is that you're not getting the green light right now, just slow down. It's going to be hard. I know I say just slow down. It's very challenging within these energies, but we are in retrograde. So the thing that we need to know and understand is that everything that's coming through right now, this is coming up from our subconscious. These are our true feelings about things to an extent, but they're magnified, all right? They are blown up. So we may truly feel this way, but this is just a part or an aspect of what we feel. This is more of like what our shadow feels, I guess you could say. And yes, our shadow is a part of us. It is sometimes the most important part of us, honestly, because the shadow is a part that goes unrecognized and that tends to dictate how our lives turn out, because our unconscious governs like 90-something% of our brain function, right? So the energy that we put out unconsciously is much more magnetic than the energy we put out consciously, just because there's so much more of it, right? This is a numbers game in a sense. Like the percentage of our energy that is subconscious is greater than the part that is conscious. Now, Spirit is wanting me to sort of put the caveat here, so to speak, that doesn't mean that our conscious energy is useless. It's very powerful. Spirit's actually saying the conscious, because we are directing it in awareness, is actually almost as powerful as the subconscious. So I'm being corrected mid-sentence here by Spirit, which is funny. But still, the subconscious is a big deal because it does govern so much that we don't realize. And it governs, it's like, and this is a manifesting thing as well, right? Like we have a conscious desire, but we have these subconscious desires that conflict that conscious desire, or these belief systems that are not a match for that. And so we have difficulty bringing that into our reality because of what's within our unconscious. So it's important to understand and uncover what's within the unconscious. Sorry, Mercury retrograde can also lead to being tongue-tied, miscommunication. So keep that in mind, like particularly with this retrograde. Really think through what you want to say, and maybe just kind of journal, keep things to yourself, go through that, like sort through these energies in your mind, and either pick a day where you feel very calm or wait until mid-April to have those really important conversations. Because like we said, there's a lot that's being stirred up right now within the unconscious, so that we can bring it to light, which was what I was trying to say before I got all tongue-tied here, to just bring it into our awareness and incorporate it into our conscious understandings of what we think, what we feel, what we want, right? We're getting a deeper picture of that. We're seeing the flip side. We're seeing the aspects, and like I'm being called to explain, like to stop being so vague and sort of explain more deeply so that people have an understanding of how this works. So it's like, for instance, we'll say you have a job, and there are aspects of your job that really don't resonate with you anymore, that you really dislike, but you need the paycheck, and honestly, it's comfortable enough, and there's still a level of attachment to it. So you just kind of push that down, and you're like, no, it's fine. It's great. I don't mind doing this. You know, like it's not ideal, but like I can handle it, right? And you just kind of go through your motions and you go through your days and everything's mostly all right. Well, during this retrograde period, those things that drive you nuts about your job are going to feel like they're standing out in hyper focus. Like you cannot look away because it's like, you know, the analogy they use of like a car accident or something like that, which is this energy of like, you can't look away. You want to, but you simply cannot. You are riveted. And that's what's going on. Everything that is irritating about our lives, especially where it comes to us being able to live the way that we want to live, right? Because it's that freedom, that independence, that is the core value of Aries energy. As well as honesty and bluntness, right? So where we're being dishonest with ourselves, essentially. And then, of course, other people as well. That's really becoming uncomfortable for us. The things, like we said, that we try to ignore and push down are just in hyper focus. They're in our face no matter where we look. It's because we need to become aware of this energy. Doesn't mean that you need to, using the job analogy, quit your job tomorrow. It just means be aware of these things. Begin to honor, like, okay, maybe I'm not as okay with this as I thought. Maybe it's time to start looking for something else. Maybe it's time to look at how can I shift the energy? Is there some way that this energy can shift? Can I ask to work in a different department? Can I ask for different hours? Can I ask for better benefits, for a raise? Like, what can I do? Is there a way to make this more livable? Or is it time to completely sever that connection and just like we said, weigh out all those options and wait until mid-April, ideally, honestly, if you can, the beginning of May, to really pull the trigger on anything major, which goes totally against Aries nature and energy, but it's really important here. So observe what's going on. Let yourself feel through the emotions. If you need to scream, break things, go and do that in a safe place and just wait it out. Just wait